The ultimatum. The crimson sunset painted the alien sky of Kepler 442 bits as Captain Alina Reyes knelt beside the massive crystalline structure buried deep in the planet's surface. Her weathered hands traced the smooth edges of what her team had discovered 3 days ago. The artifact hummed with an energy that made her skin tingle and her heart race with excitement. "Captain, you need to see this," called Dr. Marcus Chen from his mobile laboratory setup. His voice carried an urgency that made Alina's pulse quicken. As the lead xenorchaeologist on this mission, Marcus rarely showed emotion about their discoveries. When he did, it usually meant something extraordinary. Alina stood up, brushing the alien dust from her exploration suit. Around her, the dig site buzzed with activity. 27 crew members from the exploration vessel Defiant Spirit worked tirelessly to uncover more of the mysterious structure. They had been on Kepler 442 bits for 6 weeks now, and this discovery could change everything humanity knew about the galaxy. "What have you found, Marcus?" Alina asked, walking over to where the scientist hunched over his equipment. His face glowed with excitement as data streams flowed across multiple screens. "Alina, this artifact isn't just ancient technology. It's a beacon, and it's been sending signals across the galaxy for the past 72 hours, ever since we started excavating around it." Marcus pulled up a 3-dimensional map showing signal paths extending in all directions from their location. "The energy readings are off the charts. This thing is more powerful than our entire ship's reactor." Alina felt a chill run down her spine despite the warm alien air. "Signals to where? To whom?" Before Marcus could answer, Lieutenant Sarah Kim's voice crackled through their communication devices. "Captain Reyes, please return to the ship immediately. We have incoming vessels on long-range sensors. Multiple contacts, massive signatures, and they're not human." Alina's training kicked in instantly. 20 years in the exploration corps had taught her to trust her instincts, and right now those instincts screamed danger. "All teams, pack up essential equipment only. We're returning to the ship in 30 minutes. "But Captain," protested Dr. Angela Foster, the team's physicist, "we're just beginning to understand this technology. If we leave now, we might lose the opportunity of a lifetime." Alina looked at the artifact one more time. Its surface seemed to pulse with greater intensity now, as if responding to the approaching threat. Something deep in her gut told her this discovery would either make humanity's place in the galaxy or destroy them completely. "The opportunity will mean nothing if we're all dead, Angela. Pack up. Now." The journey back to the Defiant Spirit took 25 minutes across the rocky terrain. Alina's ship sat in a valley 3 kilometers from the dig site, its sleek hull reflecting the alien sun's light. The vessel represented humanity's best technology, equipped with advanced engines, defensive systems, and enough firepower to handle most situations. Looking at it now, Alina wondered if it would be enough. As the crew secured their equipment and prepared for potential departure, Alina made her way to the bridge. Lieutenant Kim stood at the sensor station, her face pale with concern. The main view screen showed a tactical display that made Alina's blood run cold. 12 massive vessels approached their position, each one 3 times larger than the Defiant Spirit. The alien ships moved in perfect formation, their dark hulls bristling with weapon systems that could reduce Alina's ship to atoms in seconds. "Time to contact?" Alina asked, settling into the captain's chair. 18 minutes at current speed," Kim replied. "Captain, their technology is far beyond anything in our databases. Those ships could destroy every human colony in existence without breaking formation." Alina nodded grimly. Humanity had only been exploring deep space for 40 years, since developing faster-than-light travel. In that time, they had encountered a few alien species, but nothing like this. Most contacts had been peaceful, curious exchanges of knowledge and culture. This felt different. This felt like war. "Commander Torres, what's our defensive status?" Alina called to her first officer. Commander Miguel Torres, a veteran of the border conflicts with the Centauri pirates, ran through his checklist with military precision. Shields at maximum, weapons charge, engines ready for emergency jump. But Captain, if those ships want to destroy us, our defenses won't matter much. The bridge fell silent except for the hum of instruments and the quiet beeping of sensors tracking the approaching fleet. Alina's crew of 57 men and women represented humanity's best. Scientists, explorers, soldiers, and dreamers who had volunteered to push the boundaries of human knowledge. They deserved better than dying in the middle of nowhere because they had found something they shouldn't have. A new sound filled the bridge as the communication system activated. The screen flickered and resolved into an image that made several crew members gasp. The alien was tall and angular, with pale blue skin stretched over a thin frame. 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern studied the humans with obvious disdain. When it spoke, the universal translator rendered its words in cold, mechanical tones. Humans of the vessel Defiant Spirit, I am Fleet Commander Zurek of the Zephyrian Empire. You have violated sacred ground and awakened technology that belongs to my people. Surrender the artifact immediately and submit to Imperial authority, or face total annihilation. Alina stood up slowly, her mind racing through options. Behind her, she could feel her crew's tension like a physical force. They looked to her for leadership, for hope, for a miracle. She had led them through asteroid fields and solar storms, first contact situations and equipment failures. But this was different. This was about survival. Fleet Commander Zurek, Alina replied, keeping her voice steady and professional. I am Captain Alina Reyes of the Terran Exploration Corps. We discovered this artifact through legitimate archaeological research. We had no knowledge of Zephyrian claims to this world. Zurek's 4 eyes narrowed in what Alina interpreted as anger. Your ignorance is not an excuse, human. The beacon of eternity has belonged to the Zephyrian Empire for 10,000 years. Your primitive species has awakened something beyond your understanding. Surrender now, and we will grant you quick deaths. Alina felt her own anger rising. Quick deaths. For making a scientific discovery. For exploring the galaxy and seeking knowledge. The casual dismissal of human life in Zurek's words triggered something primal in her nature. I'm afraid I can't do that, Fleet Commander, Alina said, her voice taking on a harder edge. Humanity doesn't surrender to threats. We certainly don't surrender because someone claims ownership of something they abandoned 10,000 years ago. A ripple of shock seemed to pass through Zurek's angular features. Clearly, the alien had expected immediate submission from the technologically inferior humans. The silence stretched for several heartbeats before Zurek spoke again. You dare refuse the Zephyrian Empire. Your species controls 7 primitive worlds. We command 300 systems and fleets that have conquered 1,000 species. You are insects compared to our might. Alina smiled, and there was something in that expression that made her crew straighten with pride, and the alien fleet commander take a step back from his screen. It was the smile of someone who had been underestimated her entire life and had made a career of proving doubters wrong. You know what, Zurek? You've made 2 crucial mistakes, Alina said, walking closer to the screen. First, you assumed that because we're smaller and weaker, we'll just roll over and die. Second, you threatened us instead of trying to negotiate. Where I come from, we have a saying about that. What saying? Zurek demanded, his 4 eyes now focused entirely on Alina. Never threaten humans unless you're prepared for a fight. Because here's the thing about my species, Fleet Commander. We're too stubborn to know when we're beaten, too curious to leave mysteries alone, and too proud to bow to bullies. You want this artifact. Come and take it. Alina cut the transmission and turned to her crew. The bridge was dead silent for a moment before Commander Torres began to laugh. It started as a chuckle and grew into full-blown laughter that spread through the bridge like wildfire. Soon, even Lieutenant Kim was grinning despite their impossible situation. You know they're going to try to destroy us now, Torres said, wiping tears from his eyes. Probably, Alina agreed. But at least they'll know they were in a fight. All hands, prepare for combat. Dr. Chen, How long do you need to analyze that artifact? Marcus looked up from his portable scanner. If I had a few hours with the ship's main computer, I might be able to understand its basic functions. But Captain, with 12 warships breathing down our necks. You'll have your time, Marcus. I promise. Elena settled back into her captain's chair and watched the alien fleet close the distance to their position. Because there's one more thing about humans that our new friends are about to learn. We don't just fight back. We fight smart. The counterstrike. The Zephyrian fleet opened fire exactly 18 minutes after Elena cut communications. Beams of coherent energy that could melt through battleship armor struck the Defiant Spirit's shields with devastating force. The ship shuddered under the assault, emergency lights flickering as power systems struggled to compensate. Shields down to 60%, reported Lieutenant Kim from her station. Captain, we can't take much more of this. Elena gripped her chair as another volley rocked the ship. Around her, the bridge crew worked with desperate efficiency, rerouting power and returning fire with everything they had. Their weapons barely scratched the massive alien vessels, but Elena wasn't trying to win a conventional battle. She was buying time. Torres, execute evasive pattern Delta 7. Take us into the asteroid field at bearing 127 Mark III. Elena's voice cut through the chaos of battle like a blade. Dr. Chen, please tell me you've learned something useful about our new toy. Marcus looked up from his scanner, sweat beading on his forehead, despite the ship's climate control. Elena, this artifact isn't just a beacon. It's some kind of amplification device, but it only responds to specific neural patterns. The Zephyrians can't activate it remotely, which is probably why they want it back so badly. What kind of neural patterns? Elena asked as the ship dove between two massive asteroids, temporarily breaking the alien fleet's line of sight. That's the fascinating part. The device seems to respond to determination, willpower, and what our psychological profiles would call stubborn refusal to accept defeat. It's almost like it was designed to work with. With humans? Elena finished, a slow smile spreading across her face. Torres, new plan. Take us back to the planet's surface. Emergency landing near the artifact site. Captain, that's suicide. Commander Torres protested. They'll have us trapped on the ground with no way to escape. Miguel, trust me. Sometimes the best way to win is to do something so crazy that your enemy can't predict it. Elena turned to address the entire bridge crew. All hands, prepare for emergency atmospheric entry. This is going to get very bumpy. The Defiant Spirit broke from the asteroid field and dove toward the planet's surface with the Zephyrian fleet in hot pursuit. Energy beams lanced past the ship as Elena's pilot, Lieutenant Commander Jessica Park, pushed their engines beyond safe limits. The hull began to glow from atmospheric friction as they descended at a suicidal angle. Landing sight in visual range, Park reported, her hands dancing over the controls with expert precision. Beginning final approach. The ship hit the ground hard, skidding across the alien landscape and leaving a furrow of disturbed soil in its wake. Emergency systems screamed warnings as the Defiant Spirit finally came to rest less than 50 meters from the crystalline artifact that had started this whole confrontation. Elena was the first out of the ship, her exploration suit's helmet sealing automatically as she sprinted toward the artifact. Behind her, Dr. Chen and a security team followed, while the rest of the crew prepared the ship's defenses for what would likely be their final battle. The artifact seemed to sense Elena's approach. Its surface began to pulse with increased intensity, color shifting from deep blue to brilliant white as she drew near. When she placed her hands on its smooth surface, electricity seemed to dance between her fingers and the crystal. It's responding to you specifically, Marcus reported, his scanner going wild with readings. Elena, your neural pattern is creating some kind of resonance with the device. I'm reading power levels that shouldn't be possible. Above them, the Zephyrian fleet descended toward the planet's surface. 12 massive warships capable of destroying cities prepared to land and crush the pathetic human resistance once and for all. Fleet Commander Zirak had been personally humiliated by the human captain's defiance, and he intended to make their deaths slow and painful. "How does it work, Marcus?" Elena asked, feeling the artifact's energy flow through her like liquid fire. "What am I supposed to do?" "I think you just have to want something badly enough," Marcus replied, wonder evident in his voice. "The device amplifies willpower, determination, and refusal to give up. It's like it was built by a species that understood what humans would become thousands of years before we even existed." Elena closed her eyes and thought about her crew. 57 of the best humans she had ever known, people who had volunteered to explore the unknown and push the boundaries of human knowledge. She thought about Earth and the colonies and all the children who dreamed of touching the stars someday. She thought about bullies like Zirak who believed that might made right and that smaller species existed only to serve larger ones. Most of all, she thought about the human spirit that had carried her species from caves to starships, from ignorance to wisdom, from fear to hope. The same spirit that had made humans climb mountains simply because they were there, cross oceans because they wanted to see what lay beyond the horizon, and reach for the stars because someone had told them it was impossible. The artifact erupted with light that could be seen from orbit. Energy that had slumbered for millennia awakened at the touch of human determination and stubbornness. The crystalline structure rose from the ground, revealing its true size for the first time. It was massive, easily a kilometer tall, and it pulsed with power that made the Zephyrian fleet's weapons look like toys. Elena felt the artifact's consciousness touch her mind, ancient and patient and amused. It had been waiting for so long for a species like humanity to find it. A species that refused to accept limitations, that fought against impossible odds, that would rather die standing than live kneeling. The first Zephyrian ship to land found itself facing something unprecedented in the Empire's history of conquest. The human artifact had transformed the entire valley into a defensive position, energy barriers appearing from nothing to protect the human ship, while weapon emplacements rose from the ground like flowers blooming in fast forward. "This is impossible," Fleet Commander Zirak transmitted to his fleet. "The humans are primitives. They cannot control technology of this sophistication." But Elena Rice was proving him wrong with every passing second. Guided by the artifact's ancient wisdom and powered by pure human stubborn determination, she turned the Zephyrian fleet's own weapons against them. Energy beams reflected off crystalline shields and struck the alien ships with devastating precision. The humans weren't just fighting back anymore. They were winning. "Captain, I'm reading massive power fluctuations in the Zephyrian fleet," reported Lieutenant Kim over the communication system. "3 of their ships have lost primary power, and the others are backing off." Elena felt the artifact's amusement grow stronger. It had been created by an ancient species that had faced their own bullies, their own impossible odds. They had built this device as a gift for future civilizations that shared their values: courage, determination, and the absolute refusal to bow to tyrants. The remaining Zephyrian ships retreated to a safe distance, their commanders struggling to understand what had happened. In their 10,000 years of conquest, they had never encountered a species like humanity. They had never faced an enemy that grew stronger when outnumbered, more determined when threatened, and more dangerous when cornered. Elena opened her eyes and found herself surrounded by her crew. They had abandoned the ship to stand with their captain, every one of them grinning like wolves. Dr. Chen was taking readings with shaking hands, while Commander Torres stood with his weapon ready, as if daring the aliens to try again. "Fleet Commander Zirak," Elena called out, her voice amplified by the artifact's power until it could be heard across the star system. "I believe we need to renegotiate our relationship." The alien's response came quickly, his 4 eyes wide with something Elena had never seen before in a Zephyrian: respect. "Captain Rice, the Zephyrian Empire acknowledges your surprising capabilities. Perhaps we can reach an accommodation." "Here's my accommodation," Elena replied, her smile sharp as a blade. "Humanity keeps the artifact, since it clearly belongs with us. Your empire learns a valuable lesson about threatening species you don't understand, and you spread the word to every corner of the galaxy about what happens when someone tries to bully humans. And what lesson is that? Zarak asked, though Elena suspected he already knew the answer. Elena looked at her crew, at the artifact that had recognized the human spirit and chosen to ally with it, and at the retreating Zephyrian fleet that had learned too late about humanity's greatest strength. That humans don't just fight back, she said, her voice carrying across space to every alien ship in the system. We fight smart, we fight together, and we never, ever give up. Consider that galactic rule number 1, Fleet Commander. Never provoke humans, because we always fight back. The Zephyrian fleet departed without another word, leaving humanity in possession of technology that would change the balance of power in the galaxy forever. As Elena watched the alien ships disappear into hyperspace, she felt the artifact's satisfaction like warm sunlight. They had learned an important lesson today. These Zephyrians, and any other species that might threaten humanity in the future. Humans might be smaller, newer to the galactic stage, and less advanced in some ways, but they possessed something that no amount of technology could replicate: the absolute refusal to accept defeat when defending what they loved. And that, Elena reflected as her crew began to study their new alliance with ancient technology, was why humans would always find a way to fight back.